You have selected Shuffle.
Welcome to the Shufflepod. I'm Woody.
Hey, I'm George.
I'm DJ.
And I'm Geoff.
All right. Are we're all recording now?
Yes.
All right.
George.
So, okay. So, if for the people, see that little dot?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the leftover remnants of the giant fucking black eye that my dog Milo gave me.
Nice.
I was
Really?
playing with him in the snow. Yeah, let me go into this because I think once the thousands of people that watch our YouTube stuff see the thing, they're going to be like, oh my God, and they're going to want to try to start like one of those.
GoFundMe?
GoFundMe or OnlyFans.
Let's do it.
To help my eye.
Yeah.
I was playing with him in the yard, right? And I was flicking snow and throwing snow up in the air, and he was catching it. Well, then he bowed by me, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that means in dog, I'm going to rock it up into your eye. Because I leaned down, and I was wrestling, and he shot up and headbutted me. I had a dot. Boom. Right where he hit. It actually hurt when I did that, because I have a lump on my bone. Here it feels like. But it's probably like some kind of muscle or something. But, yeah, I had this huge black eye all last week. I went to work. People were like, what the fuck happened to your face? And I'm like, MMA training.
Talk back to my wife.
Yeah, and people are like, yeah, right, you bitch. Your wife punched you in the eye, you know, and all that stuff. So, yeah, I got lit up pretty good, man.
Speaking of that MMA training, I my knuckles, I get the psoriasis on. And one day, the other day at work, one of the drivers came in and I had to sign his papers. And I was holding it on the door, and I'm signing it, and he goes, oh, my God, what happened to your knuckles? And I'm like, you should have seen his face. He's like, I can't believe it. I was like,
They're human scaling for when I pound
That's right.
people. It's like my mutant power. It's great.
I know in a past show we've talked about this probably a dozen times, but the very first time your brother met Woody, he's just
Bad.
like, Woody was wearing shorts. He's got psoriasis fucking
You could tell.
everywhere.
You could tell, like, Jim was going to say something. As he's drinking, he's just staring.
yeah.
He's looking at Woody's, like, white, chalked up legs. And Jim has no filter, and he's just like, were you attacked by a bear?
Dude, that's better than that one guy we know, Dan. He's like,
Oh, shit.
are you a leper? That looks like leprosy.
I don't remember that.
Oh, dude, I wanted to hit him with a chair. Honestly, God, he just wouldn't let it go. It just kept going and going. Like, at least Jim, you knew he was joking around. And, if you know Jim well enough, you know he's just, he's going to say whatever he thinks.
You met Jim enough times with jeans on to know he was joking around.
Right. But, oh, shit. So how you guys been? It's been a little while.
Been all right.
Been
You know,
good.
it's
Happy
been
Valentine's
good.
Day, boys.
And to
Yeah,
you.
but we are recording this on Valentine's Day because none of us want to be with our significant others.
Yeah.
Nope.
Well,
Good job,
So
Woody.
I'm not going there. Not going there.
Good job, Woody.
Oh.
Oh, bring the mood down.
There's always that one guy, isn't there? Motherfucker.
Oh, shit.
Well, thanks for fucking that up, Jeff.
It's all right. I'm going to go have a drink with her later. Just set it proper on the bar.
It's like Mel Gibson did in Lethal Weapon. Hopefully a helicopter doesn't attack your trailer.
Right?
Like, you know,
Right.
yeah,
So,
see,
I'll
Lethal
have to
Weapon.
crawl out underneath and escape.
Yep.
That would be great.
In the tradition of our show, we start to get a topic last night in our little four-way message.
Well, you don't want to do it
thread.
too early.
Yeah,
No.
so
Might actually have time to
we don't want to
prepare.
be too prepared. So then we start going back and forth about what should the topic be. We bounce around. I'd say 4 to 6 different ideas, but they're all somewhat similar.
Right.
What did we decide on? because the one I thought we decided on, I genuinely did watch an hour's worth of video.
Right.
I
Yeah.
really did. That wasn't a joke.
Glory
And that's
holes.
what I brought out. I brought out my symbol.
No, yeah, that's right. That's
But
right.
now I think we're not doing that.
No, it absolutely is. I was joking when you guys were like throwing out ideas, and I just put down, that's a great idea. Let's just tweak it a little bit, and then I just was like, I threw out something like completely different because I thought it'd be funny. So I was just
Well,
like,
yeah, because at one point you said, I didn't read anything you guys just said. Let's do this. And I'm like, what the fuck was that? Like, we texted back and forth for an hour, and then you just said, I didn't read any of that.
yeah.
I'm like, oh.
So we're doing aliens and abductions. So I mean, not necessarily,
Abductions.
but like I said later on, like I don't want to get too crazy into abductions. But I mean, if that's the way it goes, that's the way it goes. But
Okay, because like
know.
at first you guys were like, let's talk about abductions. Let's do some research. And I'm like, okay,
no,
well,
it wasn't. It was
abduction
aliens
research
and
consists of
abduction.
crazy people. So-
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I got some stuff lined up, so whenever we're ready, I'll.
My favorite abductionist.
See, this is exactly the way I didn't want it to go. But go
What?
ahead. I was
Tell me why.
Like I was thinking, like UFOs and aliens, that kind
we
of thing.
can transition.
And yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
I'm cool with that. I was just saying that, like later I sent that text. I'm like, hey, let's not just focus in on abductions, but it's fine if we go there. If it goes, there.
I'll start off with this, and then we'll transition. My favorite abduction.
I'm just saying that I'm the boss, and I think we should do what I say.
There it is.
Oh,
Sir.
fantastic!
I'm calling him sir. I don't think he's been knighted, but he should have been. The late Riley Martin.
Yes.
He was a regular on the Howard Stern show. Woody and I went to see him what was supposed to be at Cleveland State University, but for scheduling reasons, they had a little bit of a mix-up. So they ended up scheduling him at a hole-in-the-wall bar with about 6 people. Woody and I were one of the lucky ones to have met him. One of the lucky 6, I guess, that were at the bar. The guy was pure crazy. I mean, I've never seen crazy in someone's eye as much as this guy.
Honest to God.
We went out to the parking lot, and there was what's the Ford version of the old minivan? Is it the Astro van?
Yeah,
Or is that the
no, the
Chevy?
Ford Aerostar.
That's what
Aerostar.
it was.
There was a Ford Aerostar, and it was beat to shit. It was pretty bad. All the luggage in it was packed in Miller Lite cases. And I don't mean Miller Lite luggage, I mean Miller Lite cases. They were like clear taped and duct taped Miller Lite cases with
Holy
clothes sticking out of them.
shit.
And he had a bird in a cage in the van. That's how he traveled with New Jersey plates. This was in Cleveland. They drove there from New Jersey, and that was their transportation. So we met the dude.
And I'm betting hotel room.
And a what?
And I'm betting it was their hotel room as well.
Oh, they lived in that van.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't get a hotel room. You could tell by looking in that van they were sleeping in it. But a couple years ago, JD got me for my birthday. He died a couple years ago. I got the craziest
Not
fucking
JD.
voicemail.
Not
JD did?
Couple years ago, I got the craziest fucking voicemail I've ever gotten in my life. Apparently, on Riley Martin's website, before he passed away, you could order these symbols, which he calls geometrically perfect in every way. He's never made an error in them, as you can see. Just how perfect that is.
The dove. There's a picture of a dove in it, and it looks like a God-created dove. I can tell you that.
Perfect.
Yes.
It
And
takes
that
a while
eyeball.
to find it, but you can see the dove. It stands out because
It's to put it into perspective. If you're not watching this on YouTube,
and they're
it
probably not.
it looks like a 6th grader drew it in art class. It's
Yeah.
bad. It's real bad. It's not perfect. The squiggly lines outside of it are in light orange. Can you see that?
Kind of explain what it looks like. So the podcast people.
God, you.
Well,
It looks like
Looks like
somebody got
DJ's
high and
soul.
watched the wall and drew
Yeah.
something.
Okay.
Oh, definitely, yeah. It's
Okay.
it's okay. It's a circle, and inside the circle there's like an ankh and some bubbles and an eyeball and a had some pyramids. It looks like
Don't
a
forget about the
crown.
bird. There's
And
the bird.
Where's the bird? I don't see the
right
bird.
by the. I'm pointing at the screen like you can fucking see.
Oh,
right
yes,
there,
yes,
Woody.
yes. How did I miss that?
Right?
Yeah. So it's
And then on the bottom, he wrote, David John Roosh, long life. I really can't read his writing. The something. Prosperity. I think it says Balrog Orn, the Mystic Raptor. And then down here in the corner.
Oh,
is
another
the
it's
dog.
another
Mystic
bird.
Raptor.
Oh, is that the Mystic Raptor?
He personalized them and then he autographed it. And these are supposed to be the tickets to the mothership. When the mothership comes down,
Wow.
you present these as your pass to the mothership.
So
Now-
now
Well, what happened was he wants to speak to you on the phone before he makes your symbol. And he was very sick when he did this because he was a massive alcoholic. he was dying. And so I never check my voicemail unless I'm like applying for jobs. Like, I just don't give a shit. If you don't text me, I don't give a shit. Well, I get this voicemail. This guy has the most distinct voice you've ever heard. He's like, "Hello, my name is Riley Martin." I mean, that's how he talks. And so like, I get this like 3-minute voicemail that said nothing but his name and his phone number. So I'm like, I'm dying. I'm like stomping my feet. I'm going, holy shit, I've got Riley Martin's personal phone number. So then I have another one because I didn't call it back from like a week because I don't check my numbers, my voicemails. Sir David, I am really trying to get a hold of you to draw your symbol that your friend James purchased for you. If you could give me a call back. He had like 4 voicemails. He left me 4 voicemails. So I called the
Holy
dude
shit.
back. He asked me a couple of questions. I was on the phone with Riley Martin for 2 hours.
It was only 3
It
questions.
was the most amazing phone call of my life. I was asking him questions about when he was on the Howard Stern show, about how he was treated, because he'd always complain about not getting paid to be on the show. His whole story is every 11 years, he's abducted. Taken up. There's, 7 or 11 alien races that visit the Earth. The Biavians are the main ones that control the whole thing. Tan is Owan Tangenwan. He calls him Tan. He's the main one. He's 10,000 years old. He befriended Riley. He's the one who keeps in close contact with Riley. He's the one who picks him up.
he bought Riley his first drink.
Yes. He's been picking up Riley since he's been like 7 or 8, and every 11 years since. And, he's seen all kinds of shit, according to Riley. But Riley loses a lot of credibility when he starts talking about his life story. He fought bare knuckle boxing for like 5 or 6 years. He killed a man in the street, bare knuckle boxing. Made love to 8 women a day. Because of the enhancements the aliens did, he used to make the women younger.
By
Yes.
By fucking
Goosh.
them.
Goosh.
So women would line up, so he would make love to them to make them younger. I mean, it was just a whole thing. The guy was so full of shit. And Woody can contest that we looked him in the eye,
Yeah.
and you could see the crazy.
Yeah, honest to God.
You never seen so much crazy in one eye. Like,
Yeah.
you could not.
He definitely
There was nothing there.
He definitely bought his own bullshit at the end.
Yeah.
By the time we had met him, he was 100%. If you'd strapped him to a lie detector test, he'd have passed.
Yeah.
Because he absolutely believed his own shit.
So, do you think he was alcoholic, self-medicating schizophrenic?
I'd say.
Yeah.
To be buying your own bullshit, I'd have to say, I don't know about exact diagnoses, but something.
I mean, you got to figure. Let me ask you this: did he say stuff about like he would still receive messages, or was it just every 11 years they just show up?
It was
he in constant contact, or
mostly every 11 years.
Oh no! He was telepathically in contact with them. Because when
they could hear him, but he couldn't hear them.
Oh, from what he told me, he could. Or no, maybe you might be right, because when I went to that bar and I walked outside because I was smoking at the time, and I went to go have a cigarette.
Picture a really shitty Franny's.
Yeah, really horrible dive bar in Cleveland, and
they're the best though.
I'm standing out there,
best.
and he walks out, and we're talking, and he's like, "I asked the aliens to make sure there were no tornadoes while I was here," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah."
Oh, he did say that.
Yeah,
You're right.
So he must have been in constant contact with them.
So did he have like an implant or just telepathy?
No implant.
I don't.
He always did wear an Indian headdress.
Yeah.
The headband, not a headdress.
Because he wasn't the chief.
To keep in touch with his Native American roots. He was a black man from New Jersey, but he had Native American roots. He said. The guy was crazy as all fucking get out. He still has an active website. That's what I was texting last night. He used to sell Riley Martin piss jugs. They would be like those brown big jugs, and he would sell them to truckers, and they'd just say Riley Martin on them, and you could just piss in them. I mean, like,
Woody's probably got two.
They were like $40. They still sell his books on there and his audiobooks. I have his book on
I do too.
on Kindle.
Say, George looked like he was
looking.
using one just there.
No, I'm sorry. I was pulling up pictures of.
There he is. There's
you
Riley.
go. He looks like he
sane,
might
right?
have some Native American in him.
He looks like he could. He's crazy as shit. Yeah, the voice. There's nothing like his voice.
Yeah.
Like he'd be great on any alien abduction voiceover. Just narrator.
I think his very first
him with Howard.
his very first appearance was on like Jerry Springer.
That makes
Oh,
sense.
really? I didn't know that. Okay.
One of those shows. And the very first time he was on Howard was one of the times I was watching last night. And the very first time he's like, well, maybe if I could get some goddamn pocket change to drive up here for some gas money, I'd have been able to get up here.
They are personalized symbols.
Yeah, they are.
Oh yeah, he had
Pretty
like
cool.
he had a whole table of them like laid out at the event that we went to.
They wanted like $60 or $70 for those.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to lie to you. These ones that are drawn on the Google are a little bit nicer than yours.
Yeah, well, he drew mine under extreme duress. He was very sick.
So now, what did he eventually pass away from? Do you know?
I'm gonna
sure kidney.
Yeah,
Or
You think it was cirrhosis?
Liver,
Yeah,
yeah,
liver,
I'm
yeah.
guessing. I'm guessing. I don't know. Wasn't really famous enough to even make the news.
Right, just a hard life.
He was a Howard Stern whackpacker. They had a big to do about him on there, but I don't think you heard a lot. But he had a lot of really good abduction stories. A lot of his people on there had good abduction stories. Very detailed. His book is very detailed. If you can buy into it, it's extremely detailed. But it's just, my God, it's so far out there.
It's hard to get through. Yeah.
See, I got all my alien abduction stuff. You guys have probably all listened to Art Bell, Coast to Coast.
Oh yeah.
And before George Norrie, and George Norrie used to be the guy that would, when Art Bell would go on hiatus or vacation or whatever, or
He
if
was like his
sick,
fill-in.
he would fill in. And George Norrie's good, don't get me wrong, but Art Bell had this. He brought like.
He was the interviewer. He could pull stuff out.
And he made radio fun in a time that the internet started blooming and you had so many choices for your entertainment, where I would lay down and I'd put these, the headphones on, and I would listen to him while I would go to sleep, or make love or other various things. No, I'm kidding.
My God.
But I would.
What are you listening to?
Art Bell. I'm about to shoot. He just talked about a Sasquatch. So, a squirt squatch. So anyways, I would listen to him, and he would go into these. He would make like crazy, just purely crazy fucking people sound relevant. And when he retired, I think like the entertainment of UFOs and mystical creatures and everything kind of went by the wayside a little bit. But he was my absolute favorite.
Yeah.
But it's almost like he'd let anybody on there and tell their story, regardless of how far-fetched, and that almost made me mad, because it's like you've got to sort through all this extra BS that everybody knows is full of it. Like the ladies who I was listening to him one night, and there was a lady, she was in New York City, and she was talking about how she gets abducted. She lives in a high-rise complex, and she's being abducted every month by these aliens, and they're implanting babies in her, and
they're all treated equally.
Yeah,
like
so like
stories.
that story would be just right along the same lines of as he was talking to say a credible UFO witness, and so it's just credible. I mean, have any of you guys ever seen anything in the sky that you couldn't explain?
Yes, actually.
I'm glad you guys asked this. Do you mind if I tell this story real quick?
For it.
I didn't want to jump on you anything.
Woody will yell at you.
A week ago, I think it was about a week ago, I asked my father-in-law again. I said, you and your wife, and I'll leave Doreen, all right? I said, you and Doreen...
I like how you said you're going to leave her name out. And then you just
then I
jumped in with her
figured it's
name.
just ridiculous. Nobody's going to come and accost them because they've seen aliens. I asked him, I said, you guys saw a UFO, correct? And he said, absolutely. He says, I can't tell you what it was. He said, but it was at Oakwood Square, which is where Franny's, and they're not drinkers, so they didn't like stumble out of the bar, but they went. He said it was a summer night. They do a lot of PCP, and he said it was getting dusk, and he said it was a cloudy day, and he said him and his wife went to the grocery store. Well, when they walked out, they saw people like standing in the parking lot and looking up at this stuff. And he said this craft was like flying like super, super low. He said it was probably 200 feet in the air. And I was like, holy shit. And I said, was it big? He goes, yes, it was. It had segments, and it just kind of like floated by. And he said there was no sound. He said the weirdest thing was, because if it's a jet, you could hear the, and he said there was no sound except like a as it went over them. And I said, I looked on the repository and all this stuff, and I can't find any reporting of it. He said that day he said he can't remember who reported it, but the Akron-Canton Airport got hundreds of phone calls that day and of citizens saying they saw something fly over. And he said, look, I do believe that there's life elsewhere. He says it's ignorant just to think it's just us.
That's my feeling.
Yeah.
Well, and I agree with that. And he said, look, could it have been man-made? He said it was before drones. He said this thing was really big, and it just kind of slowly went over everybody and just kind of flew away. And he said it never stopped. It didn't hover. It just, at one constant speed, just went over them. And he said had it been bright out, he could have got more detail and everything. He said, but it was definitely below the clouds. It was just getting dusk. It was already cloudy, and this thing just flew over. And he said he can't explain it. And I was like, oh my God, And he went into really, really good detail about it. But once again, and the thing that makes me think, okay, yeah, he's probably telling the truth, is there isn't all these stories about it, other than after the fact. I guess there was a report he read about it, and I can't remember where, and he couldn't remember, where he read it. He said, but the Akron-Canton Airport reported there were hundreds of calls at around that time when he saw it and stuff. I was like, oh my God. I mean, and I asked my mother-in-law, I said, do you remember seeing it? And she goes, yeah, it was crazy. And that's all she said. She was just like, yeah, it was, I don't know what the hell it was either. So it was fascinating to talk to him. I talked to him for about a half hour before I put him back in the nursing home. No, I'm kidding.
I don't have anything good as far as any real personal UFO stories. I don't have anything great.
Geoff?
I saw one time, and I'm glad George said made the point about no sound, because mine is from Virginia Beach, 1993. It's mid-fall. I was living with my dad and his wife at the time, and we were
Geoff, where's Virginia Beach at?
It's
Can you
in
tell
Virginia.
The people?
In Virginia.
We're about 10 miles from the beach, from the Atlantic coast, which is about 5 miles from Norfolk, Virginia, which is the naval base. So you see all kinds of airplanes.
Huge naval base.
This was right, and this was during when we sent all the ships to Haiti, and so for 3 days it was just airplanes constantly flying over because they were loading the aircraft carriers. Well, this happened shortly after that when it died down and it was pretty quiet. So, we're sitting outside having a cigarette, having a beer. It was a nice night out. It was just after dusk, so it was dark, but not too dark that you could see a lot of stars, just maybe a couple, right? And you see the occasional airplane going by. Usually they're from the naval base because they don't get a lot of air traffic from commercial jets because of the base in the area we were at, anyway. And we're sitting there, we just see this one light just cruising across the sky. Don't hear any sound, so it struck us as odd. And we're sitting there looking at it. I'm like, do you guys see any flashers on there? The warning lights, the red and the blue to let other planes know. There was no flashing lights. It was just a solid light. And I'm not, exactly how it flew was it came across at a constant speed, straight across the horizon, did a 90-degree up and left, just shot off. It did 90 degrees.
Just shot like a straight up.
It
boom?
It did 90 degrees vertically, and we couldn't tell how far it was because it was dark and it was just a light. But if I had to guess, it would be, it went 90 degrees vertically, a couple hundred feet, and then 90 degrees in the same direction it was going, or similar, and just gone.
Was it over the ocean? Would you estimate it was over, or was it going towards the ocean?
I think it was over the land, because it didn't look like it was that far, but it was fairly high up. If I were to guess, just because I don't know, but if I were to guess, it was cruising across, checking things out, and then it lifted up to an atmosphere, to a higher altitude where it was in the lighter atmosphere to leave, if it were a UFO. If not, I don't know what the hell it was, because nothing we have can do that.
So it basically broke all the rules of flight.
Rules of physics.
Yeah.
We do not have a plane, especially at that time. We didn't even have but one vertical jump jet, I think was the Harrier. It was the only jet-propelled vehicle that could leave vertically. I could be mistaken, but I believe that's the only one. And this thing was in mid-flight and just 90 degrees straight up and 90 degrees over. It didn't slow down.
Yeah, the thing is about the Harrier, though, even, Geoff, is I don't think... I could be wrong about this. I actually have a friend that flies Harriers.
You're not wrong.
I don't think they can, just mid-flight lower
the
the jet and go vertical.
Right.
They have to push.
It pushes against
off
the ground.
Of the earth.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why they'll hover at a certain, and they can turn and stuff. But wow. Okay, because you hear about that a lot, and a lot of times it's before a quote unquote military conflict.
Right.
You hear a lot of the UFOs start going up. Look how tiny my hands are. You hear about the little
which could be military reconnaissance craft.
Right.
Unknown military reconnaissance craft.
No, you're right.
I mean,
and that's why I said I don't know what it is. I'm just speculating because, as far as we knew, there was nothing, and there's still nothing that can move like that we're aware of.
Drones.
What about this thing that happened a couple years ago, that Blink 182 dude? What's his name?
The lead singer to Blink-182? Yeah, he's a big
The old-
UFO guy.
Yeah, what's his name?
I can't remember.
Riley Martin. Tom
You know who I'm
DeLonge.
talking about,
It's Tom
right?
DeLonge.
Yeah, Tom DeLonge. He leads up that UFO group now, and
That actually from the Stars Academy, they're huge.
yeah, and he got that whole thing released from the U.S. Navy and from the Pentagon. Those Tic Tac UFOs.
They actually declassified that.
Yeah, they
now.
declassified.
Yeah, there's
that.
like 3
that
videos.
stuff's amazing. It's a lot like what Geoff was saying. They're flying from, they're going from up and from down. They're going from. They explained the one going from about, I think they said about 20,000 feet to like 3 feet in like a quarter of a second.
Wow.
It just goes.
That's insane.
Nothing can do that.
No,
that we have.
I've been on the demon drop, and I know if it was human, your spine would come shooting out of the top of your head.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing with like the Harrier. From what I understand about it, it's it could do a lot more than it does because the stresses it puts on the human body, you just can't. Your body wouldn't be able to take it.
Excellent point.
But
the brand new, I think it's the F-35 jet, I believe. Is that the newest jet?
I think
I
so.
don't
We fly them remotely like drones too. They have the capabilities.
Right.
Because they can
And
do
we
a lot more.
Yeah, we do things with those as drone pilots from the ground. They can do things that pilots can't do because of the maneuverability, because it would kill a pilot.
Right. But you're talking, when Geoff saw that was almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we probably had drone capability.
That's what's going to be my next point was...
we did, but...
Yeah. What we have out there now and what they had, what the military had, like it's very possible that it could have been a drone at that time.
Right.
Yeah.
But, it's just as possible that it might not have been. I mean...
Right.
Yeah. They talked about, actually, in like Stargate SG-1 back in, what year was that? Early 90s?
Yeah, that was early 90s.
They talked about drone aircraft. That was way before drone aircraft.
But that's not drone isn't what we're thinking of the four.
No, they talked about
copter-
drone air. They talked about drone aircraft. They talked about wearing goggles in a base, flying drone aircraft.
Right, but it
They
looked like
talked
a
about
plane, and it dealt with lift and wings and that, as opposed to the quad, drones.
Right,
that when we say drone
No.
now, we think of a four-cornered,
Oh, I don't. I think of like the Hellfire drones.
Right.
The ones they're flying over Iraq and that they keep in the air all the time that have the
Right.
missiles that, those are the ones I'm talking about. The plane
Right.
drones.
right.
That's the one I thought
those
of, too.
things are fascinating. The way that they fly those things and stuff. Yeah, there's got to be technology that we don't know, and that's the stuff that we're calling, quote unquote, alien UFOs. 'Cause
Is it-
a UFO is just unidentified?
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
but let's nip this in the bud right to begin with. Okay, you're right. The official term of UFO is unidentified flying object. But when we're talking about UFOs, we're talking about alien crafts.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's just get that out of the way, because that's everybody's argument is, well, it's just an unidentified object, flying object. Well, it could have been a bird, could have been anything. It was
Well,
unidentified.
and
Let's call them alien spaceships. Let's call them
Right.
asses.
Asses.
I saw this great ass the other day.
that ass. I believe that I saw a UFO. I was working midnight shifts, and I had left my shift. It was we got off at 6 a.m. Okay, so it was already light out. It was in, I believe it was the summertime. I want to say it was, and I walked out of the building, and I was facing west. Okay, to go to the parking lot. So in the northern sky, so you guys know where the jail is, and right across the street from the jail is where they store the salt for the road department. Okay, so I'm looking in that direction because something caught my eye, like you know how when the sun hits something, it boom,
Yeah.
And I looked over, and
What time of night?
It was 6 a.m. It was
Okay.
just in the morning, shortly after 6 a.m. because I always go downstairs, change. So it was probably around 6:10-ish. All right. So I walk out and like something hit my eye and I look over and I can only describe it as a teardrop. It would look like a Mylar balloon, okay, but it looked like a teardrop sideways. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like not a teardrop falling, but a sideways teardrop with the thicker part of the teardrop being
The leading end.
leading part. Yeah. And I looked over, and for the life of me, I can't remember who was walking out with me. It might have been my partner from receiving, but I don't think it was. And I go, "You see that? Look at that shit." And he looked over and he goes, "Yep, I see that." And he goes, "Oh, there's another one." And it was two of them. The one was flying. It looked like it was possibly a little bit farther than the highway department building. And the other one was higher and over even farther. So it looked like they were staggered vertically and horizontally, okay? And we're like, what the hell is that? And we stared at them for a little while, and they just kind of went just straight in a straight line until we couldn't see them anymore. I mentioned it, I think, on Facebook. I want to say it was on Facebook. And one of my friends, Mike, calls me up. Well, he worked in Akron as a paramedic for one of the hospitals. And he called and he said, "George, I saw the same thing." And I said, "You did?" He goes, "Yes," which makes sense because they were going, he said, I saw the same thing this morning when I was on my way into work. And I was like, holy shit. He goes, "I have no idea what they were." He goes, "I don't know if they were weather balloons that were being taken by a current." He said, but literally they were flying up, past his house area when he was going on the way to work and stuff. So I don't know what it was.
A weather balloon would make sense in a current because that would look like that.
Right.
Okay. Do they fly them like in tandem with each other, or
They could. I mean, it depends on the experiment they're running.
and are they Mylar? Because
Yeah,
it
they're Mylar.
almost looked like it was, and I thought it was the light at first when it was flying over, like the sunlight. I've never seen like the sunlight reflecting off of a plane per se because it was bright. It was, It looked like Mylar, like smooth Mylar,
Yeah.
But it looked like to me, it looked like it was a solid form because it wasn't like rippling like all crazy. It was, so I don't know. I mean, it could have been a weather balloon, but it was fascinating to see. And it wasn't
crazy.
flying straight up. It was flying like directly. So it could have been caught in I don't know if the Akron Canton Airport, do they release weather balloons maybe?
The college might.
Yeah.
I don't know if the airport would. They might do it from the airport just for the airspace.
You can't see it because of my screen, but it's kind
Yeah,
of
and
like
if it's taken by a current,
right.
if it's taken by a
what?
wind current, a shear current, it would rip it sideways.
It looked thinner. So I mean,
Right, if it was being like
It didn't-
pulled and drawn out.
yeah. It might have been, but it was fascinating because it flew very smooth,
Right.
And I got to figure if it was a weather balloon that the shape would have deviated.
I was going to say it would flutter.
a little bit. It would have been more fluid, but I don't know. It was really cool. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I personally, that's one thing that like I've never really seen.
You haven't, huh?
No, I've never, and I'm always looking up. I'm always looking at the sky, because I love to sit outside and just like look for like falling stars, shooting stars, whatever.
Yeah.
They say those are the people who never see them. Because
Yeah.
I do the same thing.
Yeah, and I've never seen anything that I like. Maybe at first I was like, what is that? And then all of a sudden, like, okay, or like you'll be watching a satellite go across at night, and then all of a sudden it'll just disappear. And I'm assuming that it's just like the sun's reflecting off the satellite, and it's getting to a
Right.
point where it's just you can't reflect anymore. It's in a shadow or
Right.
whatever, and then so it disappears. So like I've never been able to see anything like that, like that I can't really explain. But like, here's the crazy part about it is like I've seen other things. Like I've seen things that I know I have like no explanation for as far as like ghost wise. I've seen that thing that I swear to God was a werewolf with DJ.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But I believe in aliens more than I believe in everything else.
Me too. Me too. But what we saw that night was something.
That was insane.
You know what? There's a good chance that person listening now doesn't know that story. If one of you guys want to tell it real quick, because it kind of does fall into.
Right.
Woody, I was drunk.
I was picking DJ up from prison, and
already you exaggerated.
And his mama got hit by a tray.
It was
Not a good way to
things.
start that one.
He got into a bar fight, and then instead of when the police were like, okay, this is all, they got everything calmed down, they're about ready to take off and just let everybody go. Somebody said something, smarted off the DJ, and he tried to push the cop out of the way to get to him. So they said, nope, you're going to jail.
That'll always take that gets you there.
So I volunteered to go pick him up, and
the Bulls didn't turn you out in that time, right? It was only a day.
It was 2 hours, 3 hours.
Yeah.
But to your question, yes, I was.
They rode me like a rag doll for
as soon as he got in there.
number of hours.
Hard for as many hours.
Cops are like, here you go, boys. Take him.
Yeah, when I went in to check on him, they're like, well, we released him like an hour ago, but he won't come out of the cell.
Be there in a minute. Try to choke another one of these down. These are great.
So I don't even remember what city it was. It was some backwoods city.
It was between Alliance and Canton, so it would have been what is that up there?
It's like Rootstown or something. Something weird.
No, not quite that high. Is it Atwater?
Might have been. I don't know. But anyway, so I followed the cop to this police station because I had no idea where I was going. That was back before we had GPS and on our phones and stuff like that. And so I pick him up, and he's still hammered. We're leaving, and he wants to get a candy bar because he couldn't get chocolate on the inside, he says. So
for hours I've been crazy.
Yeah. So
a long time.
We stop at a gas station, and he gets something to drink and a candy bar and comes back out. And
did he make you a swan out of a bar of soap?
No. But then after he eats his candy and drinks his whatever he had to drink, I thought he passed out. I thought he was out cold in the passenger seat, and I had no idea where I was, and I was just driving, and it was cornfields on both sides of me.
Yeah,
and
old country road.
Yeah, just 2-lane country road, and all of a sudden, something jumped from one side of the road, like it was not on the road, and then it jumped onto the road, right in front of my car, and turned its head, looked at the car, and then jumped off the road. So
2 legs kind of hunched over.
Yes.
And then leapt off.
And yeah. So
like a chupacabra.
Right. Like a
bigger.
werewolf. Like a fucking werewolf,
werewolf.
honest to God. And I'm
obviously.
stunned.
Did you just pull an obviously God on me? It's you're telling me about a mythical creature. Yes. Obviously, God, you dumb fuck. It was clearly a goddamn werewolf.
But I was shocked. I'm driving and I'm thinking in my head, oh my God, I finally saw something like super tangible. It wasn't like there's no way I could explain this. Like I saw it, and I'm like, and I look over and this motherfucker's passed out drunk. I'm like, the only person that can like corroborate my story is passed out, and so I'm like, I'm defeated. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he's like, I don't know much, but I know that was a werewolf. And I'm like, you saw that?
I saw the whole fucking thing. I don't care how drunk I was. I saw.
Did it have fur?
Like
mangy
fur. Yeah, mangy fur.
It could have been a bear with mange. It could have been. I've looked at pictures of bears with mange. It could have been.
Yeah, I guess.
Could have been.
I've never seen a bear.
It's
jump,
probably the
and
most.
Bears' legs aren't that long.
Yeah, they are.
Not.
Let me look up a picture
Well,
of a
we
bear
have
with
black bear around here.
Yeah.
See, but black bear aren't big enough for this thing.
So how tall was it roughly, do you think?
It was,
I would say man size, if not taller.
yeah, man size.
So can I jump in with a quick story that matches that, because you guys are killing me here. It's we were out with a bunch of friends. It was the middle of the night. We were teenagers, late teens, like maybe early 20s, and we were at a local golf course. I'm not saying which one. And
No,
we
But
were,
it was
yeah,
on two,
I mean, that's
but it was on two legs.
right.
And-
Did
and
it
I'm-
jump
I'm
on
still
two legs
saying-
or
Yes.
I don't.
okay?
Yes. When it jumped, it landed on its legs, and it was hunched over, but its hands didn't touch the ground, and its legs were longer than that, and it had more
Right.
defined knees.
And were the bottom knees, like where the feet are, were they up higher?
Yeah, the knees
Yeah.
were like where a human's knees would be. I mean, if not a
Yeah.
little
Right. But
taller.
were they backwards though, like a dog's? I don't know how
I
to
don't remember
describe
that amount of
Like
detail.
like
Oh,
a
I
dog's
see.
knees are
Very
backwards,
fast.
so they're higher.
I
so
see
instead
what
of
you're
the knee-
saying.
Right.
I see what you're saying.
'Cause
It was really
I don't know.
fast.
What
Yeah,
we
I
saw
don't know.
looked like that, but it was upright, and the knees were where instead of the paws were, they were bent on the back too, and they were way high. But long story short, we're on this golf course, we're screwing around. We see a sand trap that's got a boot print, a giant paw print, a boot print, paw. We're like, what the fuck? Somebody's screwing with us. That's hilarious. We're like, that's a great prank. Like some kids came out and put these stamps in, right? So we decided to leave. We're walking back to the house, and we're at the top of the hill that goes down to the parking lot. And the one dude we're with, the biggest dude that's with us, he's like 6'2", 250, just giant dude, not afraid of anything. Like, he's the guy that if you're in a fight, you're like, there you go, put him up front. He just runs by us. He's like, run! And we're like, what the fuck? We turn around, there's this thing kneeling next to this tree, and we turn around, it kind of looks at us and stands up. This thing's about 8 foot tall, furry, looks just like that bear with mange, but taller, skinnier, and it looked pretty fucking buff. Like if you ever seen the movie Lycan or the werewolf movies, or the Underworld movies, it looked exactly like that, but furry. And we're like, yeah, we gotta go. And we all just took off. Like, and it was plain as day, just standing there and just stood up and looked at us. We're like, yeah, if it wants us, we're fucked.
Was it
Go.
daytime or nighttime?
It was nighttime.
See, one
And
thing
you-
Woody and I never really talked about, I don't think we ever brought up the Bigfoot angle. Ever. But why not?
Right.
Yeah, because it was like a dog face. It wasn't like a human face. It was definitely
Yeah, but no one's ever really seen a real legitimate.
yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, some primates' faces are pulled.
Yeah.
Like the snout is more defined.
Like
So maybe
baboons. Well, look at it this way. Like, I like what DJ's saying. Like, how do we know that wasn't an alien? Maybe it landed somewhere nearby.
Oh, that isn't what I
It
said.
was furry as shit. Oh, well, I thought that's where you were going.
Those
That's
were
not
the-
all. That's
think
not
about
all
like
that,
what
DJ
he's
said.
saying.
I didn't say that.
You
I
fucking
just meant-
crazy bastard. That's not at all what he said. You know how
Sorry.
DJ said they were out
Sorry
playing
to try-
basketball.
It was obviously a werewolf. That's what I heard DJ said.
That's what
They
I
were-
said.
DJ said flat out they were out playing basketball. All of a sudden, a werewolf in a Letterman's jacket came through and started dribbling the ball, and they
You
called
look
him
just
Teen
like
Wolf.
the guy from Back to the Future.
Started
Yeah.
dunking all over him. It was horrible. Didn't stand a chance.
Then he had
Couldn't hold a
Chinese
drink
menu
still
in
to
his
save
hand.
his life. That's Parkinson's joke. Throwing that out there.
Hilarious.
So okay, so now let's see. So Geoff, if you had to name an animal that yours possibly could have been, what would you say?
It was definitely wolf-like. It was canine for sure.
Okay.
'Cause-
And Woody, you'd say canine as well?
I'd say
So
that
maybe-
the face looked canine, but it was way too big and standing on
Yeah.
its legs.
I
Because it's been a
don't
bunch
know.
of years. Like, I guess I could say like it's possible that it was a bear, but I've never seen a bear leap like that.
No, not with the two leg thing though.
Yeah.
No.
And this thing absolutely did not run across the road, stop and run across the road. It jumped from one side of the road to the middle of the road, and then from the middle of the road off the road.
I have a
I mean,
theory.
that's a far distance from a
Right.
standstill.
It's very
basically.
far.
I
distance.
have a theory.
Go ahead.
Who else
Okay.
was there that night?
Oh, I wasn't.
Who did we go out?
Oh, you're talking
Who
to me?
was working at that bar?
Who was working at that bar?
Yeah.
I
Do
don't
you think
know.
they were the werewolf?
Could have been Dudley.
Oh.
God damn it, you're right. I thought you were going to say Daryl. 'cause
Dudley's
he's the
a
only
big
black
hairy
guy.
beast.
He's the only black guy we knew, and I was like, "That's kind
Daryl was there too, actually.
Yeah.
They don't look like dogs." So,
Daryl was already at Kirshner's house when that happened, but Dudley was not.
is that the day Daryl headbutted a guy?
He was trying to. I never
think
saw him
so.
actually headbutt, but I saw him trying to headbutt a guy, and I know he was talking about it all night. Yeah, when that big fight broke out.
It's not easy. You got to get in close.
From what I heard, Daryl said, DJ is about to get in a fight. We got to watch him. And then he turned around and I was gone.
You were gone. You were absolutely gone.
He was like, son of a bitch.
Yeah. And it wasn't even like gone. You went from like the back of the room to the front of the room where all the shit was going on.
In 2 leaps.
Yeah.
Maybe I was the beast.
Oh, shit.
No, I don't know what it could have been. I never really thought about a Sasquatch because I'm not really a big Bigfoot guy. Never have been.
And they tend to
It
saunter.
would be an interesting question, but I think their podcast fell apart for conspiring to argue.
Yeah.
It'd be a good.
You know, yeah. That would have been.
Their last thing looks like it was done in 18, but
Yeah.
I'm still friends with the one guy on Facebook, but I got rid of my Facebook, but I could probably reactivate it and message him.
I thought about them yesterday doing research because I saw something about the what were their names? The first reported abduction.
Betty
and Barney.
Yes.
Hill.
Betty
Oh, yeah,
and Barney
Betty
Hill.
Barney
And I just remembered the show they did on it. It was great, and I'm like,
Yeah, they did a good one.
but those.
One of
that
the
was a
ones that
weird-
surprised me the most on their whole show was when they did the what was the one with the boat that disappeared? The
Oh, that was the one I
whatever effect.
requested. It was the Nimitz or the. Yeah, I think it was the USS Nimitz,
Well, what was it called? The Philadelphia.
the Philadelphia experiment.
Yeah, and then it turns out that one of their father-in-laws or something
Right.
worked on the damn thing,
Yeah.
and they didn't even know it.
Yeah, that's
So
when
then they had him on the next show and like explained it all, and he knew one of the professors that was on the boat.
Yeah,
They're like,
Yeah.
"What the fuck?"
Damn.
explained all of it. That was I requested that show on Patreon.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of, now that we're talking, we're on UFOs and mythical creatures, what do you guys think of the Bermuda Triangle? I've heard people describe it as that's where Atlantis is, or that's where a underwater alien, base is or whatever. What do you guys think of that?
Okay, offhand, without any paranormal stuff, I would say the most reasonable explanation is that there's gigantic pockets of methane gas under the Bermuda Triangle that release constantly. As it bubbles to the surface, it causes anything on the water to lose buoyancy.
Right.
So any type of ship, you can demonstrate, I've seen this on 1,000 science shows, you can demonstrate it by putting just a little toy ship in a sink and blowing a straw under the water, just blowing bubbles under it. It makes the
Okay.
ship lose buoyancy and sink. It also causes, with the methane rising through the air in big pockets, it causes jet engines to or any kind of propeller engines, anything with a spark plug in it, to burst into flames and explode. So if there's huge pockets of methane coming up, it
And
would
you know what?
cause.
That kind of makes sense with Amelia Earhart, because her plane was obviously a giant,
Wasn't she up in the northern Atlantic?
maybe a volcano farted
She was in the
underwater.
South Pacific. The complete opposite, TJ. She was in the South Pacific.
Yeah.
I thought she was in
Amelia
South
Earhart?
Pacific.
Yeah.
I thought she was in the North Atlantic.
No, she was
I
in
might
the
have
South
brought
Pacific.
up.
Well, there's the Devil's Triangle and the Bermuda Triangle. They're directly across from each other across the planet. That is my official theory on it, but there are a lot of other things, like there might be USO bases, there might be there's a lot of other, like, people start talking about sacred geometry. There's a lot of stuff that falls into that realm. I'm not sure I believe in all that, but there's a lot of weird stuff that does fall into those numbers. It'd be
growing
interesting.
up as a kid, I remember reading stuff about the Bermuda Triangle, and I always thought it was small, like
No, it's
a
huge.
small area. It's giant.
Yeah.
Okay. And with it being that big between the three islands, that the points that they use, that's a lot of space. You could lose
Right.
ships and everything. You know,
George,
I watched on YouTube yesterday a ship break in half and sink.
George,
You know,
you and I cruised through the Bermuda Triangle. Like, our cruise was through the Bermuda Triangle the whole time. Like, that's how big that area is. It's from, like Miami.
You just pissed him off.
Yeah, that whole
George's
time.
like, what?
That whole time we were on that cruise was during.
I did what with the who
in
now?
the Bermuda Triangle.
That's where the flying fish came from.
Yeah.
Hey, Woody! As they did
Follow
whole
me
fucking-
to
the-
Atlantis.
the whole fucking cruise.
Yeah.
Literally. Woody's going, you guys see the flying fish? And we're like, what?
Okay.
He's like, the fish. They jump by the boat.
Let me explain
And so
this. I like to just kind of wander off on my own and like check things out, you know. So I found
He's
this.
like,
I found this.
He's like an autistic kid sailing, like with fans. I love fans, and they run to him.
So I found this section in the front of the boat that like you could go out, and it was under the deck where they like the bridge of the ship, and it was above the actual deck of the ship. It was like a little balcony way up there, and I thought, okay, this is cool. And I used to sit out there, and I just sit out there and watch the ocean go by. And every once in a while, you'd see like a fish just jump up out of the water and fly for a second, and then go back in. And I'm like, oh, flying fish, okay. I had no idea like what territory range they had, where they were common at. And so I said something to everybody about it. I said, hey, have you guys seen any of these flying fish off the side of the boats? And they all thought I was insane. And
I did.
so,
Until
Did
I saw
anybody
one.
ever see them?
I did.
and
You
that's
did,
that's the exact
Yeah.
place that they're the tropical waters
Yeah.
of the Caribbean is where they're.
They just basically, they do have like flipper wings, and they
Right.
flap them, and they jump. I would say.
Yep.
I wouldn't say they sail.
Yeah.
and
Oh,
fly,
yeah.
But they jump, and I mean it's
And-
clearly farther than I could jump in the water. So
And
Here's a
George
quick
the whole time
question.
is making fun
I-
of me, saying that it's like they're trying to lure me down to their treasure at
Yeah.
the bottom of the ocean.
they were dancing
Like
Hey,
mermaids.
Woody!
Here's a quick question. I just heard Woody's answer. Jeff, what is that body of water called
What body of water?
that they
The-
took their cruise in?
The Bahamas? Well, that's the islands.
Starts with a
That is
C.
the
Starts with a
Caribbean.
C. Okay, George, what do you call it?
Caribbean.
Okay.
It's actually Caribbean, but Caribbean is, I think, the
Acceptable.
most common.
It's Caribbean.
Right, that's the most.
What's
that's the
the-
accepted. More
What's the
accepted.
real one?
What are you
The
talking
real
about?
one? What?
What's the real name?
The
And then
Atlantic
one's
Ocean.
accepted?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Caribbean is how it's supposed to be pronounced. Caribbean is just the common vernacular for it.
I thought they were both correct.
They are.
I
But
thought it was just one of
Caribbean
those
is
things that-
It's one of those. It's one of those like tomato, whatever. They're both
Okay.
correct, but who uses what more? Caribbean is, like, from what I understand, the proper pronunciation. But Caribbean is just because we're lazy and we make it fast and short, like George.
So, well, how are you trying to make fun of me?
Oh, looky there! I'm giving you the finger, Jeffy.
I'm just kidding. I love you, George. Happy Valentine's
So-
Day. I'll see you later.
Heart you too, man.
So these three new videos that, well, I guess they're not new now, but they're newer videos that the Pentagon released and said, hey, these are actual military. They were taken by the military, and we don't know what they are.
These are the Travis Barker videos.
Well, you've got the Go Fast one where it's like this thing. It's just zipping across the floor, like the ocean, just right above the ocean, just right above the water.
Yeah.
Zipping across, and the guy, and you can tell the computer is trying to lock onto it, and it'll go out of screen, and then they move forward real fast, and then it'll come back through, and it'll go out of screen again, and then finally like they lock onto it, and the guy's like, "Woo!" Like, hey, I finally got it.
I got it. Yeah.
So that's the Go Fast video. Then you've got the Tic Tac video, which is
These are all the Blink 182s, right?
I don't know if that's where this.
I said
how it
Travis
got-
Barker, but I meant Tom DeLonge.
Okay, I don't know.
Well, Travis Barker is also the drummer for Blink 182.
I know, but
Close enough.
I mean,
So-
these are all the videos we were talking about earlier. These
Yeah.
are
I think it's
those.
great that we know the members in Blink 182.
It's not where I was going with this. I just mixed up the name.
But the Go Fast was on the east coast of the United States. The Tic Tac was on the west coast. It was off of like Los Angeles area or wherever, off of California somewhere. That's the one where there's the two F-18 Super Hornets. And
That is the Tom DeLonge one.
Okay.
West Coast off there.
yeah.
All the small things kill him.
But that was like, I mean, you have
Keep talking, I'm just singing.
you have 4 trained observers.
So I will not go. Turn the lights on. Carry me home. All right, sorry. It's been in my head for like a half hour. I'm like, oh man, I gotta jam.
Is that
to the Blink.
Woody? Is that MUFON or what's the group that did that? The military UFO something.
Mutual UFO Organization, MUFON.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
Or
MUFON.
UFO Network or whatever.
I gotta look that up because I haven't seen them yet.
Well, no, these were actually released by the military. Like they
Right.
said, okay, we don't know what these are. You know, here's the footage. You know, just so no one can say that we're trying to hide this stuff.
Right.
Here's the
Do
footage.
you think though that makes me think that they know what it is?
Well, here's
Yeah,
the thing.
because do you know who one of the head guys in that is? It's ex-Senator Harry Reid from Nevada.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, he's a senator over where Area 51 is that just retired, and now he's like, okay, time to release this shit.
So anyways, they're saying that with the Tic Tac one, before those pilots went out there, they were saying, okay, we've been tracking these for days. This is just the
Right.
first time that we've had planes in the sky while we're tracking this whatever it is. We don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Now the gimbal videos are it's a video, but it's that was also on the East Coast, and it was same thing. Like they say, there's been hundreds of these things out there, and that one looks like a flying saucer, okay, but it's like hovering flat, and then turns on its side and zips across at just like a high rate of speed. Like it was just hovering right where it was at in, I think they said 95 mile an hour winds. Then it just kind of turned to its side and took off. And and that goes along with what was the guy that said he worked at Area 51?
Bob Lazar.
Lazar.
Yeah, Bob Lazar.
That's how he was explaining how
Yeah.
that technology worked. Like it was like a
Atmospheric
gravity
conditions
well.
and gravity mean nothing to these things.
Right, like it was like it puts a well of gravity right in
Yeah.
front of it, so it falls into the well.
Yeah,
And
it
it
lives
just-
outside of reality almost as far as atmospheric conditions and things like that.
Well,
Right.
It's
So
funny.
the wind's not hitting it.
It's funny what Woody just said about there's hundreds of these things out there, right? And they were trying to track them, and the only reason they saw one is because they just happened to have planes in the air that day when they caught it. That kind of lends a lot of credibility to the people that are like, but I saw one, and everybody's like, well, where's your proof? Well, if the
Yeah.
military's tracking them
Yeah.
and trying
Yes.
to find them and can't
Yeah.
catch them,
Well, with
Okay.
That's a
with
very
that,
good point.
That gimbal one,
That's a really good.
it was a squadron that saw it. From what I understand, it wasn't just
Right.
like 2 planes. It was a group of fighter planes, and they tracked it for a while, and they said at one point it almost hit them. Like it came within like 50 feet of one of their planes.
damn.
Yeah, but it won't because they're so good.
Well,
Not
okay,
not
so
our pilots, them.
Right.
They're
on
not
the
gonna hit
gimbal
our
video
plane.
on the gimbal video though, Woody, if it came within 50 feet, did any of them take a snapshot of it?
I don't think so. I mean, do you like? Okay, you, me, the 4 of us, we carry our cell phones in our pockets, but fighter pilots aren't carrying their cell phones. In their
I don't
pockets.
think we're asking cell phone. I think we're asking all
Yeah.
the sophisticated camera equipment that's mounted to every square
The
inch
dash
of those
cams,
planes.
the radar.
Right,
the-
right.
It's probably classified.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
So you think that, all right, so then it's reasonable to assume that if it came within 50 feet and we didn't fire on it, it's because they knew they couldn't fire on it.
Yeah, we couldn't fire on it.
That, and I don't think we're just firing on things that we don't know what it is.
Well, I also
shit.
think that we couldn't because we knew damn well something that can perform like that
Right.
You fire
You're-
on that,
you're
you
out
could
of your weight
obliterate
class.
the world.
Yeah, you're out of your weight
I think, Woody, I think you're not giving enough credence to the fact that when you're in somebody's airspace and you are literally coming within 50 feet of them, that is a complete. It can be an act of war at
Right.
that point, you know. And if we're not firing on something like that, they either know that it wasn't going to be threatening. I've seen Mars attacks. They could have, could have been talking to them.
Yeah.
But to come within 50 feet,
George,
of
I understand what you're saying, but
multi-million-dollar.
There's nothing we
don't-
could have done to it.
not only that. Okay, let's take that out of the equation. Okay, I don't think that. I would love to talk to a military pilot and be like, okay, would they? Because you're not allowed to just shoot. You have to get
Right.
clearance to shoot things. You know.
Right.
We can talk to a pilot if we want.
Right.
We probably could.
Yeah.
Maybe he's still active.
Yeah.
I
don't know
know.
if he
Well, I don't
would.
personally
We'll change
know.
his name.
I'm sorry. I got a my wife's cousin is best friends with one of the fighter pilot trainers down at whatever the Top Gun base is. I could see if I could
Is he
get a
Tom
hold of
Cruise?
that. Yes. No, but
No,
basically
he
same
knew, he
same
knew
position.
Goose.
Yeah,
But I honestly,
can't talk to him anymore. We need a Ouija board for that.
I honestly think there's like protocols and procedures that you have to go through before you're allowed to fire, unless somebody's
Right.
firing at you. I
And
really,
to the point of them trying to lock onto the thing, they would not have been able to hit it anyway if they couldn't even get a lock. You know?
Yeah.
but so okay, so you've got all that going on now, but like, the one story that always just really gets me is that landing in Zimbabwe at the school. Do you guys know about this? This happened in
Heard about it, but I don't
1994. Okay, there was this rural school of children in Africa and Zimbabwe, and they're out at recess time. Okay, and a saucer lands right next to their school.
It's Zimbabwe.
It was
it
absolutely
cured-
Zimbabwe,
It cured AIDS for him.
and a creature actually came out, like an alien came out of the ship, and the kids were saying that like it telepathically like spoke to some of them. Okay, and like quite a few of them, not just a couple. Like it was a couple hundred. Like I think it was 200 children saw this
There's a
thing.
picture.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Dear God.
So they interviewed the children right away afterwards, okay? And then pretty much told them all to keep it to themselves and not to talk about this, okay? But then, like, word got out, and, like, filmmakers have gone down there and talked to them, and, like, these were like, they were children in 94, so they were in, like, anywhere from kindergarten to, I think, like, 6th grade.
Right.
But they've gone back now and they've like taken some of these people and like, okay, what exactly happened? And their stories never change. The message that the aliens were like telepathically like giving to them was it was the exact same. Everybody got the exact same message from them. And
What was the message?
it was that your technology is going to destroy your world. That was
See, that seems to be a similar message every time you hear something.
really, yeah. It
Yeah.
was.
That's
Why do you think that is?
If it's true, yeah, right.
Right.
I'm telling you, that's what he says every time.
Uh,
Well, used to. Until his technology destroyed his liver.
Well, that's one of the things that I keep seeing on the stuff that I watched yesterday
George.
about the abductions was one of the theories they believe they're coming down and abducting people is to cross pollinate basically with us so that our DNA is more alien, so that when our technology destroys our planet, we can survive the higher temperatures and all the shit that's going to happen.
I don't think they give a shit about us like that.
Well, I think they're talking about reseeding like their own population, so they're
Yeah.
trying to make it so that it's better for them, not us.
So what are they saying? Like, why? Why is our technology going to destroy us?
I don't
What
know.
are they trying to say?
Okay.
Is there? Well, it's obviously probably something
Riley
that we're
said.
just now starting.
Riley said every planet hits kind of like a breaking point where there's a couple different ways that you're going to destroy the planet. One is through man-made catastrophe. The other is through environmental catastrophe. We are breaking hard towards man-made catastrophe, which can also mean environmental. It could mean like, carbon pollution and things
Global
like that.
warming.
Like the fracking and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
But ours is even leaning more towards war. But we have to change all that, and it seems like all of these are warnings to be better people.
Right.
Which really cracks me up when you watch every single space movie or Star Trek series, I don't care what you watch, it doesn't matter. Humans are always the moral compass of the galaxy. Oh, if everybody could be more human.
I mean, we're a violent culture by
terrible.
nature. I mean, just the fact that, our eyes are set in the front of our head makes us predators, If you guys...
Yeah, I get that.
Yes.
I'm not crazy, okay?
No.
Like,
Well, you're a little
right.
crazy, but I get what you mean.
It's
I mean...
This
we're-
isn't. You can tell your therapist what you want, but we know what we see.
Look, my eyes are on the side of my head. I see what's in front of me, not around me. I guess it wasn't a good example.
No, it really it
made me
was.
sound-
I
It made
got
me
it.
sound like a complete psycho.
no, it's one
Like
of
if
the
my
key
eyes were on the
points.
side of my head, I couldn't wear headphones.
I'd be wearing them like this. But I don't.
I like how instantly we talking crazy.
Right.
All right, Jeff. Timestamp.
Got it. to your point, George. Not.
You need to click
You're
it.
right though, because predators. One of the key features is they have 3D vision, meaning they've got depth perception and can track their prey. Yes.
Yeah.
So we're predators.
Yes.
Oh Christ!
I don't know.
Vegan predator.
Derailed
Boys,
that train.
that might be the stopping point of the show right there. The wheels just came off.
I'm just gonna cut it off right there.
Yeah, I got to get back down anyway. We were talking about I got to call in to see what's going on at work, and if I don't have to go in, we might go grab some lunch.
Okay.
So
Well, shit, guys, this was fun
It was.
it was.
as hell. I loved it. What do you think, Woody?
I loved it. It was good.
Yeah.
I thought it was a great topic. I thought it was a great idea. Whoever had it is genius. Way better than
I
Red
think-
Dawn. Whoever came up with that.
I think an Alien Red Dawn could have been fun.
Yeah.
Could have been.
I know we've done it. I know, but they're always the funnest shows.
Could revisit it.
They're fun
How
for
would
us,
we-
I think.
How would we fight them off?
Just like
We fight them off with water.
like that one episode
That's
where,
it.
where it was like I was coming up with like people versus things, or one
Yes.
thing versus another. We all loved that episode.
What would
That was a
win?
great show.
What would win in a fight?
Yeah,
A
yeah.
bear or a bronco?
Well,
Oh,
I
definitely
told
a bear.
Tasha last night because she doesn't listen to our show because she doesn't love me, and
My wife
Not
doesn't.
not like I do.
I told exactly. I told her about my favorite ever show is the show but PETA probably fucking hates. The one where we were like, how many cats could I kill before I'd be overcome by angry cats? How many rats could I stomp in a room flooding in with rats before I'd... She's like, well,
Become
you could
rat
just keep
food.
stomping the rats. And I said, twist, the floor gets slippery from the rat blood.
Yeah, yeah.
That's it.
I mean, like...
You can
there's-
only stomp them for as long as you can stomp them.
Right.
Yes. And then one slip, and then you're getting
Yep.
bit all over your face. That was an interesting show to me. I loved that. I would love to revisit that with new animals. That was a fun show. We had
You know
a
what?
fucking blast.
We
on
could
that
do
show.
that the next time because I think as we get older, we
We
realize
slow down.
a room full of rabbits might be able to beat us up at this point. So, I could.
Before
So
it was
let's
50,
maybe-
58 rabbits. Now it's like a rabbit
10?
and a half.
I got a black eye. I got a black eye from one dog, and I didn't even want to hit him because I was scared he was going to maul me.
One thing we never even talked about, did we even get into dogs? Because you're such a dog lover. I don't even think we got into dogs.
I don't think we did.
Dogs is a whole fucking wild card.
Yeah.
You got American bulldogs and pits compared to fucking dachshunds.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
it's how many
Dachshunds,
dachshunds could
line
you
them
fight?
the fuck up down the road.
Chihuahuas.
Yeah.
Actually, how many chihuahuas could you stomp before they go, yo quiero taco and eat your neck,
Here's my Chihuahua defense. Tuck your jeans into your fucking shoes and kick away like you're a fucking John Deere lawnmower. Never ending. Never ending.
Yeah.
But throw one fucking pit bull in there and you're probably in trouble.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
You know what? We should revisit that one. Because I
Absolutely.
want to know, because I don't think Jeff was on that show.
No, that was
No.
way before.
We
Jeff
got the
wasn't on
wild
that show?
card.
No.
No,
that was-
and he's fast. We got the wild card on this.
I thought that was a fun show. I just
That was a great show. I love that one.
How many rats do you think you could beat up, Jeff?
How many rats nowadays? 2.
see. Tasha's like, I'd be done at one rat because I'm terrified of rats. I said, you got to throw
I
the
think-
fear out the window.
Right.
I'm
You
out of-
slip on the
We're talking
blood.
physical strength.
I'm out of
Whoa.
shape. I've been sitting on the couch for a year now.
Right. I mean, this is life or
away.
death. You're gonna
Go
die.
away.
Yeah, life or death, no fear.
As long
You
as they
got
don't
killed
get-
Even
and
if it's 100, that 101st rat
Right, it's-
is coming to take your.
Right.
It's
Right.
going to chew through your butthole.
Right.
I think a lot of it too is the size of the room you're in. If you're in a 5 by 5 foot room and you've got 100 rats, as opposed to a 50 by 50 foot room and you've got 100 rats.
Yeah, because a foot and a half of rat
Yeah.
is different than however high a rat is, say 3.5 inches.
right.
Right.
A foot and a half of rat's knee high.
Yep.
That's way
true.
harder to
It's
fight
hard to
off because
stomp.
you can't kick. You can't stomp them.
Yeah. Can't kick in that room.
Can't kick
Your
a foot and
knees,
a half of
once they
rat.
get up to mid shin, you're kind of fucked because you're kicking through rat sludge to kick other rats. That's why God
Yeah,
gave you fists.
you gotta
Now
get on
you're
top.
punching
Ripping
down.
ability.
Now you're punching
And
down into
they're
rats.
biting,
But
they're-
you're punching down into a rat buffer because like there's padding behind those.
There's all
rats.
kinds of give. You're not hitting
Yeah.
anything solid.
that's
There's nothing
it.
worse than rat give.
There's only so many rats that I could go right in their buttholes and wear them as fingers and bite them. Like I'm killing them 8 at a time.
Yeah.
Like he
George
eat olives.
throwing
You know, he's got them
George has
over his
got rat
fingers.
boxing mitts.
George
putting
would put them on and fling them against the walls. Wear 5 more, fling 5 more.
That's everybody's got their methods.
Yeah.
You're like Wolverine
No one's
hitting rats
faulting
with
you.
rats. Just
No one's faulting you.
Tie their tails in knots. Use them as rat nunchucks.
there you go.
Well, we'd have to decide. We'll have to decide a standard size room per animal. It doesn't have to be
Right.
always a 10 by 10.
Because
If
you're
it's-
not going to fit a shark in a 2 foot by 2 foot room. It's
Yeah,
just not going to
yeah.
happen.
Sharks
Well,
are tough.
Maybe a little baby shark, but that's no challenge.
Sharks are anything water's tough because like
Right.
if
Yeah, you can't fight like big time in water.
Right?
No.
You're super
You're
slow.
gonna have to actually physically grab them, pull their jaws apart to rip them in physical half.
It's like
Have
when you're
you
fighting in
seen-
your dreams and you go to punch and you're just like really, really slow. You're like,
George and possibly Woody might be the only ones that have ever seen this. Woody because he's a Shark Week fan. George because he's a weapon fan. Jeff may surprise me because he's a jack of all trades. Have you seen the knife? Looks just like a big fucking knife.
Yes.
You've seen it? You stab it and hit the button.
Yeah.
And it releases an entire cartridge of CO2 through a tube, through the blade. And it basically explodes what you stab.
Just like I'm
It's
getting.
it's for divers, for sharks.
George is like, I'm
Part-
getting 2 for Christmas.
Pardon me,
Yeah.
I'm going on the internet right now.
It's insane. I
I'm
saw
buying it for
one,
the next time
I
I'm
was
at the
like,
community
holy
pool.
shit.
Do they make them in machetes?
The kids will be like, I don't want to go in the deep end. There's a guy with a fucking harpoon. It's me going,
Yeah. Tasha says, it would only be good for one shot. I said, would you need two?
Yeah, really?
No, because
You
then
blow them in half.
the sharks are going to eat the chum that you just gave them.
Yep.
Yeah.
And once they taste shark, they're not going to want to eat people. They're going to want to eat sharks.
That's true.
Right. Save it for the
Sharks
show.
taste
Save
like
it for the
chicken.
show. Don't give all the good stuff away.
What's the name of the knife? Do you know?
I don't know, but I'm gonna find it.
He's looking it
I
up.
have
I don't
no
know the
idea.
name of it. I just described it. I mean, that's what it is. I saw it a couple weeks ago. I want one, but like, oh, what the fuck am I gonna do with it?
What
It's
use?
big. You can't
How
carry
great-
it.
Right. DJ won't
it's-
go into the water up above his
that
knees,
long.
so
I think it would be great if you took that knife to the guy that sharpened your other knives.
It said maybe you could do
Be like,
my other
"Be
knife
careful,
maybe a
don't
little
hit
better.
The trigger. Don't hit the trigger because it's going to blow. You're probably going to kill a room full of 8 children.
I got a better sharpening kit now. So
did you get the one
and
that
I'll
I
leave
told
you
you
guys.
what?
You didn't get the one I told you about, did you?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, did you? Yeah, it's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, it's better.
And this is the last thought here, guys. How many toddlers do you think you could beat to death before they could overtake you?
Toddlers?
Well, I worked at a daycare and it's surprisingly low.
Like, I'd have to drown in them, I think.
Right.
They're vicious.
In
They
their
keep
own-
coming.
In their own blood.
They overcome you when they're trying to wrestle you. 8 or 9 of them around you can take you down. The thing is
But if you're trying,
they're not trying to kill you.
and you were trying to kill them.
No.
You know, like, if you're trying...
that's the thing. That's the thing. They're not trying to kill
And
you.
once they see the first
Animals
two go
are.
down, they're not coming at you anymore.
Yeah.
We're
They
talking
give up
animals
easy.
trying to kill you. What if they're toddlers trained by that one guy? What's that guy's name in Africa that trains child soldiers?
I don't know.
Oh, God. Yeah, that guy.
Right.
You know who I'm talking about?
No.
The guy who trains
Yes,
like 8-year-old
he's
soldiers.
like some general.
Yeah, general. It starts with a C, like Coney or Comey.
Caligula.
Yes.
Caligula.
There was like a big internet
General
campaign against the dude
Caligula.
about 5-6 years ago. Now those aren't toddlers. Those are like kindergarten up to like 9 or 10 years old. Now you get a few of those dudes around you. Those kids are fucking ruthless.
Right.
Yeah, well, and they're high on meth.
Yeah, he's got them all drugged up. It's like a fucking army full of Joe Exotic husbands. I mean,
So join us next week as we talk about the funny topic, child soldiers. Until next time, guys, everybody have a great one.
oh, maybe the mothership will come, and I shall have my ticket as the Mystic Raven.
See ya.
See ya.
All right.
See
Bye,
ya.
everybody.